Good afternoon. My name is Francesco Barchetta. On behalf of the Network of Resources and ESA, we are presenting this webinar series where all the platform providers available in the Network of Resources portfolio will show their services and wonderful Earth observation data, and where the users can also interact with the provider, making their questions that will be answered at the end of the presentation. Just a brief introduction for the Network of Resources, which is this initiative from ESA that aims to bring as much as possible the scientific community to the cloud, and which means sharing as much as possible the work and the results that have been reached during our job. As I said, you can make your question during the presentation using the chat, and at the end of the presentation we will answer these questions. At the end of this question and answer session, I will present very briefly the North Portal Discovery Portal, and also the way to ask for a sponsorship from ESA regarding with regards to the services and data that are going to be presented today. For those that are watching this session offline, recorded and then on YouTube, please visit the North Portal and the Forestry tab portal to make your question if you have any. At this point, I will leave the floor to René, that will present the Forestry tab platform.
Okay, thank you for the introduction, and good afternoon all. Thank you for joining. Hope you will find this interesting. My name is René Terguev, Senior Scientist at VTT, and I'm coordinating the Forestry tab operations. I will give a brief introduction at first, and then my colleague Jukka Miettinen, a Senior Scientist with Forestry background, whereas my background is more technical. Jukka will present the Forestry tab platform live as a demo and go through its features and give some use case examples. Also, our technical lead Lauri Seitsonen is present here, and as necessary can support the event as well. So let's get to the actual topic. So here are themes that we are looking at when we talk about Forestry tab. So there's global challenges, there's local challenges in climate change at large, forest loss, illegal logging, etc. There are some tasks that come from those challenges, and large group of organizations globally that are in some way linked to these forestry monitoring and analysis tasks. So the Forestry tab, the purpose of the platform is to serve as an online solution for various kinds of forest analysis that are based on satellite data. The platform is operated by us, VTT. It's available for use on a subscription basis, and we are growing the set of processing services on the platform with third-party offering. And the key platform features as a summary include, of course, access to these satellite data sources, also ability to upload other data that the user has acquired of any format. There's this underlying computing and storage infrastructure, a set of processing services, and also some interactive tools. There's also an online service development environment, very flexible, that allows creation of new services on the platform. Sharing features enable efficient collaboration with colleagues and other partners. And also, apart from the UI, user interface, there's REST API and Python client interface that allow efficient external access to the features of the platform, including the self-developed services can be accessed with the API. So Forestry platform is hosted technically on the infrastructure of Creodias, which is operated by Cloudflare in Poland. And from there we receive the primary data sources. And then we build this layer of third-party services and tools that can be then accessed either by end users directly, or they can be used by service providers who have end users as their customers. As with the other technical thematic exploitation platforms, the original development has been funded by ESA. So research organizations and universities are a key user group in the sense that many of the use cases on the platform are research projects, but then also service providers in forestry and in earth observations are operating on the platform, and we are working with them to help grow the set of third-party services, as mentioned. And here's the large forest owners and other entities that are more on the end user side to be served. The key data sources are, of course, the Copernicus Sentinel-1, 2 satellites. Also 3 to some extent can be applied in forestry. And then the ESA archive of Landsat data can support in analysis as well. Then there's a set of additional data sets that are available for service developers when they are creating services on the platform. And this includes, for example, the Copernicus land monitoring service and other Copernicus services. Also digital elevation models and other applicable data can be found. And there's a specific method that we will not cover in detail today, but you can find information about that as well. And of course, the underlying Creodias data catalog keeps evolving all the time, so this is not a static set of data. VHR data can also be, commercial VHR data can also be arranged to be available on the platform by separate agreement based on demand. And of course, then users that have access to any of their own data can upload that as well. The processing services and tools, Jukka will be presenting some of these more closely later on, but we have thematic processing services and some supporting ones that are more dealing with the organization of the source data to a suitable format for processing. And there's interactive applications such as QGIS that can be used via the browser on the platform. The full listing is available at the website, and then apart from the processing services that are available directly as part of the subscription packages, additional licensing agreements can be made as well for additional software. Briefly about the online environment for creating processing services. So this is technically based on Linux and Docker technologies, and the developer has access to templates that makes it much easier to come up with a functioning service. Each service created is by default at first it is for private use, so it is not automatically shared for anyone. But you can then share your service to your colleagues or for other partners that have access to the platform as well. You can also make it with agreement of with the platform operator VTT. We can arrange for licensed publishing, and this is something that we will very much like to do. In using this development environment, there's no need to do any local software installation. That can be useful to some extent, but it is not necessary, so it is all web-based. And the flexibility in this environment comes from the ability to use any programming languages that are available in Linux environment, including, for example, Python and R, and you can combine it with any software libraries that can be easily added to the environment. Right, we will take a brief look, I suppose, if we have time, on the actual platform as well, but it is not the main topic of today. This API access is like an alternative and in some cases then more efficient way to access the FTEP services, the data catalog and the processing services. So if you have a workflow hosted elsewhere on your system somewhere and you have created some processing services on the FTEP, then you can use this API to run these jobs and retrieve the outputs to your workflow that is somewhere else. And to assist in this, we offer a Python client library that makes it easy in Python solutions to access this REST API. It is particularly useful for making the authentication process easier. On the side of the platform that we are currently hosting and today presenting, on the side we have also developed a new version of the platform based on a new architecture, and we are in the process of polishing it for proper publication. It is based on the recent Earth Observation Exploitation Platform Common Architecture, EO-EPCA. And one key element in that is this new processing service concept that is based on OGC standard called Best Practice for Earth Observation Application Package. And the services are executed on this element called ADES. We have this functional, and by request it is available to standard and premium subscribers as a beta version, and we are in the process of making this fully open as like a standalone offering. I'm getting near the end of my presentation. Here's a list of a couple of recent use cases. These are EU and ESA projects that forest flux and forest carbon monitoring deal with carbon assimilation and carbon stock estimation. Jukka in particular is very well familiar with these because this forest carbon monitoring is a VTT-led activity that has its own life on a I mean like a public interface, but it is on FTEP that the processing has been performed. And you can find on the website some examples and more information about these cases. So if you came up with questions, perhaps it's more efficient if you come with those later on in the end of the session as was meant, but here I would now transfer the speaker's rights to Jukka.
Okay, thank you. I will first grab the screen like that. I trust you can see my screen now. Yes, welcome on my behalf as well. My name is Jukka Miettinen, like Renne already introduced, and I will now show you how the platform looks and how you could potentially start using it. But before we go into the platform, actually let's start from the website, because this is the place where you can find information, all the necessary information regarding on what the platform is, what you can find from there, and how you start using it. On the first page you have general information, but then, as Renne briefly mentioned, you can find information done on the various subscription packages. You can find information on offering, what kind of services there are, and there are news and outreach as well. But most importantly, for new beginners, we have this registration and support page, which includes information on how to, first of all, get into the platform. You need this ESA-EO sign-in account, but you can create it on the fly when you first time go there, and as you enter first time on the platform, you will enter this trial period automatically. So in that sense, it's extremely easy, and you can find from this same page also user manual, some tutorial videos, and information on how to create services. So this is the best place to start looking into the details of the platform. Then on any page of the web page, you can find this upper right corner, this platform tag, and when you click that one, you will end up here on the actual platform. And when you arrive to the platform, this is the view that you will see. And this is called the Explorer interface. We have a few so-called interfaces in this platform, but this Explorer interface is the main interface, and this is where most of the action happens. You can see and navigate through all the other interfaces here at the top of the page using these tabs. You can have access to help desk. You have some information on your own account. You have this manage and share interface, for example, where you can create groups or data baskets and manage them. This is an important part of using the platform as well, but we don't go into detail here. Another important interface is this developer interface, and Renne briefly mentioned this already, and he will explain more about it in a short while. For new user, perhaps one of the most important other interfaces is this files interface, where you can see and manipulate your own files and delete them or download them if necessary. And most importantly, this is the place where you upload your own files into the system if you want to do so. But let's go back to the Explorer interface because, like I already mentioned, this is the place where most of the activities happen. And on the upper right-hand corner, you have these basic navigation buttons to navigate and create polygons and so on. You can also scroll in and out with your mouse button. But the most important tools you can find on the left-hand side. Here we have the search, services, and workspace buttons. And these are the most important ones, which I will now go through one by one. So typically, users start from this search function to find out what data there is and what data they would like to use. And we have divided these into three different categories. We have satellite, reference data, and FTP products. Reference data in this context refers to all the data that the users have uploaded into the platform, whereas the FTP product is then the output products of the services. And so if someone, for example, is interested in using satellite data, we can start the satellite data search. We can choose among these different satellites. You can currently select between Sentinel-1, 2, and 3 and Landsat data. Like Renne mentioned, there is also access to other data sets through this platform, and I will show one example of those later. Then we can choose the dates. We can, for example, look into images around the August this past summer. We can choose the cloud cover, and of course we can choose interest area, and then we just hit the search button, and we can see that there are actually, in this case, there are 2 fully cloud-free images from that time period. And if we then have found, or when we have found an interesting image, we then start to think, of course, okay, what can we do with this image? And that we will find here in the services catalog. So here in this catalog, you will find all those services, as they are called in this context. They are basically tools or applications, but in the Forestry tab, they are called services. And you can find all the services that you have access rights to. So these are basically those that are either publicly open, or those that are created by yourself, or those that someone who has created an own tool has shared it with you. And this same ideology, by the way, applies to everything in this platform. So whether it's a service or a job that you have run or a data set that is output from your run, it's in theory, it's visible and usable only for yourself. Unless you share it with someone else. And this is where the importance of the groups comes. So you can, as I mentioned, in the manage and share, you can form a group, and then within this group you can share everything you want. There are quite a high number of services already nowadays, so I won't go through everything, but just in groups, for example, we have this kind of pre-processing tools like Envimon and Fmask, or a lot of the GDAL, basic GDAL functions can be found here as FDEP services. We have send-to-core tools. Very useful tool also is this Sentinel to GeoTIFF tool, where you can extract from a Sentinel-2 safe format file. You can extract the bands that you want and write them in the TIFF file in the resolution that you want, for example, because some of these or many of our services actually take as input a TIFF file. Then we have some thematic tools here, like the ALS metrics calculate some forest metrics from the LiDAR data. We have very basic forest change service. Quite recently we have added a k-nearest neighbor tool here, which can be used to predict forest variables, like I will show in a short while. We have basic vegetation indices tools, for example, and then one group of tools we have here at the end are the so-called application tools. So you can use these well-known applications like Snap and QGIS through Forestry tab online without actually having that software on your own computer and no need to download any data sets into your own computer or anything. So, for example, if we start from the vegetation indices, if someone wants to calculate vegetation indices for this particular tile, we just click the service and it automatically opens it in the workspace. And this is the area where the parameters are given for these services. Some of the services have many different or 2 different modes, this basic and advanced mode. And for example, for the vegetation indices service, you can run this without any image data, just giving start and end date and an area of interest. But if we want to specifically run it with this particular image, we can choose the advanced mode, and then we can choose this image from the search results and just drag and drop it there on the input field. We can choose the NDVI or any other indices that is available. We can also choose a custom area or a subset that we want to run the tool for, and very easily by clicking this button here it inserts the polygon information there. Then we just choose the resolution and give a name for the job, for example like this. And when we are ready we just hit the launch button here, and as you saw when I hit the launch button, this data panel automatically opened here at the bottom, and in the data panel you can then see information on the job. So all of the jobs that you have run will appear here, and for each job you will see the first of all the inputs, what inputs you have used for that job. Later on you will see the output, and you can see the log, how the job is progressing. And also, if you want, you can, through this share button, you can share this job to any of the groups that you are a member in. And a very handy tool also in this this tab is this edit and rerun button. So if you later want to run the same job but perhaps change some parameters, you could just hit this edit and rerun button, and it would automatically open in the workspace again. Okay, so this example was about using a satellite image directly from the catalog. But I want to show you another kind of example as well. And in this case, I have uploaded an image myself on the platform, and we can also search for that. So, but in this case, we are actually searching for this reference data. And we can find this. This is just what I have done here is I have just cut a smaller area from a Sentinel-2 satellite image, which I have run first, by the way, in Forestry through that Sentinel-2 to GeoTIFF tool. So this is a TIFF file which I have created. And if I'm now interested, for example, in finding out, okay, what kind of forests are on this area, so I can now choose the K-nearest neighbor tool. K-nearest neighbor is of course a very generic prediction or estimation algorithm, but in our case we use it mainly for forest variable predictions. So in order to run this tool, in addition to the image, you need what we call a feature bank as well, which has information derived from forest plots in that area. It's very easy to create that kind of feature bank. I won't go into the details now, but you can find information about that in the user manual. But it's, of course, what is important is that those plots are from the area or from similar forest ecosystems than the area in question. And in our case, for example, we have created this from publicly available Finnish forest plots. So if we are now interested in running this tool for this particular area, we can again drag and drop this image first into the image file, and then because we need the training and testing feature banks here, we can find them in our case from my files here. So we can just copy the file name to the workflow and then go back to the workspace and paste it there, and a similar way for the testing file. And I will make a shortcut here because I know that it's otherwise the same file name. Just change it to testing. And highly important feature, by the way, remember to click this plus button. Only then it is inserted as the parameter. Otherwise it will fail. Only other parameter which I will insert in this case is the number of nearest neighbors, and then let's just name it again, and we can hit the launch button, and again it started. Yeah, so these were two different types of services, and there is a third service that I want to, wait a minute, didn't it start? Or let's see, did I push the button or not? Maybe I didn't push the button. Now I at least pushed it, yes. Sorry about that. Yeah, so these were the two different types of services, one from directly from satellite data and one from your own, using your own input data. There is a third kind of service I want to show you, directly accessing the auxiliary data sets that are also available in Creodias. As Renne mentioned, in addition to these satellite data, the users of the platform, or more particularly the service creators of the platform, have access to all the data sets that are in Creodias. And these include, for example, all the Copernicus services. And as an example, we have created this Copernicus land monitoring service tree cover density service. And with this service, you can extract the Copernicus tree cover density information for any of your interest area. In this case, we can extract it, for example, for this same area where we have run this vegetation indices product. So we can just drag this vegetation indices output product into this AOI image tag and then give a name again and hit the launch. Let's see if I now manage to start it. Yes. And in a moment we will get the output as the tree cover density for the same area as we had this NDVI. Okay, so these three different types of services I wanted to highlight you. And if we now look at then what comes out of it. So now all these services have finished, as you can see. And that means that we can also see the outputs here. And you can see the full logs if you are interested in monitoring how the process went, or if you had some errors, you can also find them here. But most of all, you can see the outputs, and the easiest way to visualize the outputs is just by clicking this tag here, and you can see, let's say, a quick look of the output here. This is not visually very pleasing. In some cases, in the case of the vegetation indices, it's okay actually, because this is only one layer. In the KNN product output, we have several layers now, so it is not so nice looking on this screen. The tree cover density again is only one image and it's only colorful, so you can see them very nicely here. But what I want to show you next is how you can do more sophisticated GIS analysis of these output files using, for example, the QGIS software. And for this purpose, it's also good to learn how to create data baskets. Data basket is another important concept in Forestry TEP. Data baskets are basically collections of data sets. So you can, firstly, the easiest way to create a new data basket is just by hitting this Create New Data Basket tab here on the data panel. And you can give a name to it. For example, this, and create it. And after that, whenever you choose a file, if we start from the NDVI, if we choose this, click this output file, you can see that it activates this Add to Data Basket button. And in this case, it guesses that we want to add it to this ESA Webinar 4 data basket that we just created. So just by clicking it, we have added it into the data basket. And let's do the same for also the KNN output TIFF file like this. And let's take also the last one, which was the tree cover density, like this. And here also in the data panel, you can find the data basket tab. And by clicking the data basket tab, you can find all your data baskets here. And you can see what is inside them. Now then, if we want to open them in the QGIS, we have to go back to the services and find the QGIS 3 and click that. And then it opens it in the workspace as always. And now what we can do is we can very simply drag the whole data basket and drop it into the input data. And let's give a name for the job again, and we can launch it. And when we launch a QGIS job in this Forestry TEP online environment, what happens is that it starts to create the job on another computer. So it takes a little while before it has all the softwares opened and all the data sets uploaded there. And when it is ready, we can actually see this progress in the log. When it's ready, there will be an arrow appearing here on this job listing. And by clicking the arrow, we can then access the actual QGIS interface. In the meanwhile, if it's taking some moments today, I can also highlight this messages bar. So whenever you create or start, for example, a work or something, or do other operations, the system tells you that it has been successful or that there has been some problems alternatively. Okay. Now we have the go to graphical user interface arrow here. So we can click that and it opens another, you may have noticed it opens another browser window, and you have automatically here all the input data sets that we included in the database. And here you can now then do basically whatever GIS analysis you would do in QGIS on your own computer. In this case, for example, because we wanted to investigate this particular forest area and what kind of forests there are, we could now evaluate the results by checking the forest statistics. So we have on the top now here we have the Copernicus layer providing us the tree cover density. We have calculated NDVI. Then we have several forest structure variables from this area. We have the basal area, we have volume. In this particular spot, it is predicted to be 43 cubic meters per hectare. We have age, diameter, height, and we have percentages of main species in this area. And we could do whatever analysis we want in here, and then the important thing is just that when you finish or when you create any new products, they always need to be saved in this out directory. So if you save in this out directory, after that you can close this whole browser window and you can close or terminate this job. And after this job has been officially terminated, then you can find your outputs if you have created some new files, or if you have just saved the session file like I just did, you can find it in the outputs of this particular QGIS job. And one last final hint, remember to then also put this particular session file into the data basket where your data is. Because this way, when you next time start a new session, you can open the session file there and you can start when you left off in the previous session. Okay, I hope this gave you some idea of the basic functionalities of the platform. We didn't have much time to go into details, but at least I hope you got some idea of how it is to work on this platform. Ren, will you continue from your screen, or should I share the developer from this end?
Yeah, I will continue from here.
Okay.
To finalize this demo part. Thank
Yes.
you. So now you should be seeing this same sort of
Yes.
view that Jukka was presenting. Yes. And when you go to this developer interface, here will be list of services that you will be able to see the source code of. Not all of the services, but many of the services that you have access to. You can view the source codes as well. Then when you create a new service by here and give the new service a title and description and a couple of basic parameters, then you will come up with the Docker file and a workflow script as listed here. There's also, in my example, there's a third file as well, but that is actually empty. I have just added it for reference. So the Docker file will specify the environment, the software environment in which the service that you create will be executed. So you will specify what kind of, this is a Docker technology, Docker language, Docker file specification, but this template you can use without knowing all of the Docker specifics. So you would perhaps want to have Ubuntu 18.04 or 20.04 here as a baseline. But then there's a list of dependencies. So this will be software libraries that are available in Linux repositories that you can just add here, and your service will have access to them. We have a couple of extra bits here that you can simply delete if you don't need them. For example, this one that installs snap, you could specify the snap version number here. But if your service will not be using snap, the command line tool GPT of snap, then just delete this part. The same goes for this OTB, Orfeo Toolbox. This will give you access to Orfeo Toolbox libraries. If you don't need it, delete this part. And then finally, here's at the end, there's specification what is done when the service is executed. So this means that workflow script is executed. This is basically all that is needed in the Docker file as a minimum. So this is then the workflow script, and there's a few environment variables that are given by default. It gives access to a folder where the user given input data will be found. It specifies the folder where the software, your processing service, will need to output its results. There's a reference to a text file that provides the other user provided parameters. So user specifies the input data, but in many cases they will specify other parameters as well. And these can be accessed via this file. Some other variables here as well. What is missing in this part is, of course, what is done with the input data. So you would read the input data from indir, do something to it, and then as the final part, you would write something to outdir. You could have all of the functionality here. This is a Linux shell bash script. You could have it here, but more typically, you would be using programming language that is good for this kind of purposes, such as Python. So then you would just access Python here. You would have your actual logic, analysis logic here in this Python file. We have many such examples as well. But maybe not with this, my current account. Regardless, this is the basics. And on top of this, this is the section where the developer specifies which input parameters will be requested from the user. Currently none. Okay, I will show another example. Here are some text files. For this service, 3 parameters are requested from the user, and these fields, title and description, they specify what is given as the guide for the user. Right. I think we will not spend more time on this, other than finally I will give back to this ftep.com get started. It is the same page that Jukka showed, this registration and support. And from the developer point of view, you have this section called creating services, the service developer guide, apart from the basic user manual. And there's a Python utility library that you can as well use to more easily work with the input data if you are using Python as in your application, and some other helper functions. And the other Python library that I mentioned earlier was the one that is meant for external use to access the REST API, and that is available here. It's called Python API, and that provides access to the ftep functionality via these functions. Okay, how about continuing with any user questions or so? I give the floor back to Francesco at this point.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rene and Yuka. Yes, this is the right moment for attendees they want to ask question on what we see. In the meantime, I would remind everyone that as soon as we leave the session, we will be asked to fill in a feedback survey that will take not more than 1 minute. Please do it because it's very important for us to collect feedback on the quality of the session that we are providing. I think we have a question. The question is, do you support machine learning? Do you provide access to processing on GPUs?
This is something that perhaps Lauri here could answer better, but I can say that we don't currently offer direct access to processing on GPUs, but this is something that we would like to enable soon. It is on our short-term roadmap to look at this. Machine learning models that have been built can of course be used, but more than this, would you, Lauri or Jukka, like to complement this?
I think it's like you said, currently there's no access to GPU from the services, but it's on the to-do list.
Yes, and isn't it so that like Renne already hinted that the building of the model is the most problematic part at this moment. In theory that would also be possible but very slow, but then when the model, or depending on the model, but when it's ready you can run some of them in Forestry TEP already. We have some experience this, right? I remember some of our users have implemented and run some deep learning models also on the platform. But
okay,
hopefully in the near future everything is possible.
Excellent. Is there any other question from the audience? Okay, maybe you can think about it. In the meantime, I will present the NOR portal and most in particular the way to request a sponsorship through the NOR for the usage of the services that we have just seen. So in order to reach the network of resources web portal, please visit nor-discovery.org. And on this web portal, you will find the main information on the Network of Resources Initiative, statistics, and all the most recent events and details of the project, together with all the participants to the Network of Resources in terms of providers, and a bit of story of the project. Then, if you want to access to the real list of resources that have been onboarded on the Network of Resources, you have to visit the NOR portfolio page, where you can find, together with a brief introduction to the funding opportunities, the link to access the NOR portfolio itself. This is the main interface of the NOR portfolio. All the providers that have been onboarded on the Network of Resources are listed here. For any of them, you will find some details on the company. By clicking on the name, you can visit directly the provider's website. And I will show you using the example of Forestry tab. You can open the you have a sort of filters on the left that can easy your search in this portal, and you can open from here the specific tool, which is the pricing wizard, where you will find the when you can start declaring the type of project that you want to perform using the platform. For this reason, we always recommend to contact the provider itself before starting any sponsorship process request. And so after deciding the type of project that you want to perform, you can start calculating the cost of the resources that you want to adopt in your research. And then, for example, if I take one of the subscriptions that are offered by the Forestry platform, and then I will I still have the possibility to visit directly the provider's portal to directly purchase the offering, or I can ask ISA a sponsorship, even if I'm an ISA project or not. And since there is a limit of funds that can be asked if I'm not an ISA project, I have to declare that I'm going to co-fund the cost if this is over the limit of the sponsorship allowed. Then I can proceed to the next page of the sponsorship process, which is where I have to fill in all the information about myself as project coordinator and the organization and the project itself. More in specific, we have to define what are the project objectives. This is a very important part of the project definition, because this part will be published in the NOR portals as a publication, let's say, for the project. Then a few words on the implementation methodology, on the type of results that are expected from the project, then the reason why you have selected the services and the provider that you are trying to contact, and the description of the part of your work that will involve exactly the cloud environment, which is the main functionalities that the NOR is trying to promote here. Finally, we want to know the geographical area of interest of the project, and if this is the first time that you applied to the NOR sponsorship for administrative reasons, then there will be a recap of what you have selected in the previous page. And after reading what are the commitments that you have when asking for a sponsorship to ISA, one of these is that you have to provide at the end of the sponsorship a small report on how the network of resources helped you to familiarize with the cloud resources, and how the cloud resources have helped the project to reach some results. And then you have to define here when you are going to provide such a report, just for us to have an estimate. After accepting the policy privacy notice from ISA, you will need to export your sponsorship request in a PDF form and email it to the address nor-sponsorship-request@isa.int. It will take an average of 1 working week to be assessed, and then you will know the result of the sponsorship process at the end of this assessment. So this was for the sponsorship process. Thank you very much for attending this webinar session. Thank you again to Jukka and René and Lauri for presenting the platform. Please visit EFO Society pages to understand what are the next session of the webinar series, and I hope to see you here for the next sessions. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.